called a meeting of the Emergency Committee of SAFA, which is the body that acts in between NEC meetings, because we felt this was an emergency that needed our attention. We met yesterday. We had long discussions. We received reports from various people and various sources, including the chairman of our technical committee, who had in turn contacted other members of the technical committee, and we received their reports. And we took a decision to go and meet with the coach and discuss the performance of the team and his performance. And then we reported back to the emergency committee late last night, and we took the decision that we would be replacing Coach Mosamani with Steve as a caretaker coach. We have two important matches up, one against Botswana, which is the second World Cup qualifier. That's this weekend. And then the following Friday at Bombela Stadium, we're playing a friendly against Gabon, a match which, although it's a friendly, is important for our World Cup rankings and our FIFA rankings. So, two matches. We needed to take action now. Pizza has been a great student of South African football. And, of course, we're sad that it has not been ended in the way that we wanted or that he wanted, but we have to move on. We then met with Steve Kompela and the rest of the Bafana technical team. We asked them if they would give Steve their support. They all said that they would. And we then met with the players and told them about the situation. I think Pizza was expecting it. I think he too was extremely disappointed with the performance on Sunday. So I don't think it was any surprise to him. Of course, there's sadness all around. I mean, I like Pizza enormously. I have an enormous respect for him. He's one of the few coaches, if the only coach, I think, that's ever put money back into football out of his own pocket. He's currently funding scholarships for ex-professional players to come and do a coach education course as part of his commitment. So, he's a man whose patriotism and whose dignity is unassailable. And so, of course, deep sadness, but we have to take these decisions and move on.
But you say he was expecting it. Why would he be? Why was he expecting it? Was he not doing according to his contract?
He was expecting it in the sense that the media speculation had been there, and I think he recognized that the performance of the team on Sunday was probably the straw that broke the camel's back.
But in terms of his contract, was it part of the indicator of whether or not he's doing his job?
There are a number of indicators, and I'm not going to get into the details of his contract, but there are a number of indicators. And, the risk of continuing at this stage is just far too great for us as an association, and I think everyone recognizes that.
But what about the team itself? Are you suggesting here that the team is good enough? It's just that the coach was not good enough to take this team through to the required rounds?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We can't fire the team. We can part ways with the coach. We have to hope that the team, this is football, that we've seen it happening recently with Orlando Pirates, with their decision. We saw it happen with Chelsea, where a change in leadership at the top brings in a new, whatever it is, it unleashes a new logical energy in a team, and we're hoping that will happen. Fortunately, Steve is the kind of leader, I think, that will be able to bring the best out of the team in these circumstances.
And the reason why I'm asking is whether or not did SAFA not just respond to public pressure as opposed to analyzing thoroughly the job that Pizza has done?
No, there's no way that we responded to public pressure. Simply, if that was the case, we would have fired him after the failure to qualify for AFCON, when the public pressure was enormous. We were even summoned to Parliament, and we had the minister and we had the whole country telling us to fire him. But we fired him at that point because we believed that there were issues that were legitimate and that we wanted to give him a chance. And unfortunately, that chance has now come to an end.
But then he still had 2 years in his contract left. What happens going forward in terms of that?
Well, matter between us and him to finalize.
In terms of Gompela, is he just a temporary coach? Are you looking elsewhere? And how long have you given yourself before finding a permanent replacement?
Yeah, Xolani, we've appointed Steve as a caretaker coach. We've got 2 matches back on Saturday. Then the following Friday, we're playing a friendly in Bombela Stadium against Gabon. It'll be the first time under Steve's leadership, and we hope that the fans will come and support us. But that match, even though it's a friendly, is important for our FIFA rankings. And it's important to start building confidence back in the team. So we've got 2 matches ahead. Steve will be given a chance to show what his mettle is. But clearly the process of appointing a full-time coach is a much more rigorous process. We don't just do that overnight, and we will have to now go through that process, identify suitable candidates, conduct the interviews, and make the appointment. We would want to do that, I would imagine, within the next month or two, because by September we have 2 friendlies, and then we have 2 more in October, then 1 in November, and then we're into the African Nations. So we want to have whoever we appoint time to work with the team getting ready for AFCON 2013.
All right, let me get the immediate reaction then from my guests here in the studio. Let me start with Mr. Mselegu, sports editor at City Press. Your reaction?
Well, I think the decision that was taken by the South African Football Association was long overdue. And we've heard the CEO, Umfundisi Peterson, saying that there was a lot of pressure when the team failed to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations. Even they were called to Parliament, and even the minister at the time felt that they should get rid of the coach. So eventually they have done it, and I think it's a good move. But I think now we need a solid program going forward that will tell us that, because there are a number of people, and I think they've just realized now, SAFA, better late than never. There were a lot of people, myself included, who said if we are going forward with Peterson Mosimane, there's no way he was going to qualify us for the World Cup, where there'll only be 5 African countries, when he failed to take us through to the AFCON that had 16 African countries. So I think going forward now, we need a very, very proper plan, because my feeling is that I think we have lost a great deal of time. The World Cup is now in less than 2 years. Well, it's 2 years because it plays around July, so it's 2 years going to the World Cup. I think this vision and the people who are running our football, that is what they do for a living. It's a day-to-day thing that they do. SAFA are the custodians of football in this country, and I think they know that our football runs in 4-year cycles. So I think we should have a very concrete plan when we started in after the 2010 World Cup, which was also a disaster, that we became the first nation to bomb out, the first host nation to bomb out in the first round of the World Cup. I think that is when proper strategic planning should have taken place, and a proper plan to ensure that the team qualifies for the AFCON that we have failed to qualify for, and also for Brazil should have happened, because that now would have given the incumbent coach 4 years to work and build the momentum up to 2014. And I think the mistake that we was committed was that already maybe there was a commitment that was made to Peterson Mosimane, and I think the administration or the SAFA, the leadership, felt that they owed him something. But also, even when you look at his record as an assistant coach, he was an assistant in 2006 when Ted Dumitru, when Bafana went to Egypt, and for the first time the team failed to score a single goal or even to earn a single point. So he was assistant to Pereira when we went to Angola. When we went to Ghana in 2008, and the team bombed out in the first round of the AFCON. So I think signs should have already at that time. Okay.
So in other words, we're behind the cycle in terms of planning.
We are, and we need, and it's such a pity that it has happened. You find that most of the times the South African Football Association jumps from crisis to crisis, and as a result has to come with stopgap measures.
All right, we'll hear from Dr. Peterson in a minute, but let me get a comment from Thabiso.
Look, as Wusis has just said, I would even go as far back as saying, look, we can't make excuses of saying the coach. We need to look at this holistically. South African soccer is flawed. One, we do not have a development strategy that we can draw from in terms of players. First and foremost, our players good enough at this level. I think that's what we need to look at as well. Do we possess the world beaters? Dr. Peterson spoke of Orlando Pirates and Chelsea. You can't compare Pirates. Pirates is the only club in the country that have got a viable development plan. Most of these players that play for Pirates, fair enough, they've been chosen from some of the other teams in the club, but they too still have a good development plan, and that's why they're reaping the success.
Sure.
South Africa as a whole, we don't really have world beaters in terms of football. And when SAFA makes mistakes of hiring, as Bob Msalego said, coaches who, maybe we owe something to South Africans, give them Piso Musumane. Piso, as Spurs said, Piso, for example, was coach at SuperSport, assistant coach at SuperSport United. Only when he left, SuperSport United won 3 league trophies in a row. It's things like that you need to realistically look at in terms of a coach. And as Spurs said, there's a lot of people out there capabilities of leading South Africa's Bafana in South Africa, and the question should be asked, why not them?
Wait, let me get Dr. Robin Peterson to respond to what my analysts in the studio have already said. One, that this whole thing is long overdue, that it will take a solid plan then going forward. How would you respond to that then, Dr. Peterson?
I find the analysts, with respect, a little disingenuous in this way. Number one, Pitso, when he was appointed, had a very clear plan, and we had a very clear plan. It was called Vision 2014. It was presented, we implemented. It didn't achieve the results, unfortunately. But it's not correct to say that we did not have a plan, and this is typical of SAFA and so on. We had a plan. There was a vision. We implemented a strategy. It didn't work. And the second comment to say that we have no development, that only Orlando Pirates is the only team. Yes, they do development, but there are many clubs. And SAFA itself does. We spend an enormous amount of money on development. And I've spoken to the media. I've shown them those. I've proven that. Let me say this, we don't do enough. It's quite clear that there is an integrated plan which we're busy working on now, which is to enable us to become consistently in the top 3 in Africa.